Hey, another day of factoring. Yay, just can't get any better, does it? So we're going to now factor completely. And let me explain what that means. We're going to factor everything out, and we want to do it in a certain order to make it a little easier. In order to do it, what we want to do is, for the most part, there's a few exceptions, but a trinomial needs to be in standard form. Remember standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. We want the square term. Now, as we saw with the two term, sometimes we don't want to rewrite it. Just leave it as it is because where that negative is. So if I have two terms with a negative, leave it. So now we're going to factor out the greatest common factor. You always want to look for that first. From now on, I won't sing greatest showman to you, but from now on, you always want to take out the greatest common factor first if there is one. Now the rest of these steps is what we've always been doing. This does not include the shortcuts at first. So what I want you to do is this goes, we've already done these notes. So we're going to multiply a times c. We're going to put b at the bottom. The factors in pairs. Okay, we've done these notes before, so I'm not doing them in detail. If the product of a and c is positive, then my signs are the same. They're the same as b. Same as b. If the product of a and c is negative, then my signs are different. And the larger factor has to be the same sign as b. Okay, b comes in very important. Then we're going to write the polynomial in 4 terms and factor by grouping. Unless, of course, we want to do if it's a difference of squares, if it's 2 terms, we're probably going to use the shortcut. Okay, so now here's examples. I really had trouble with getting these into the 5x squared terms. Okay, so what we always want to do from now on, is it in standard form? Yes, it is. So now I look for a greatest common factor. Is there a greatest common factor here? Yeah, 5. 5 is our greatest common factor. We're going to take that out. We get x squared minus 8x plus, I believe that's 12. 60 divided by 5 is 12. Yes. Okay, now, what happens for me? I'm going to tell you a little trick I do. What we're supposed to do is keep that 5 there and keep factoring. I lose that 5 all the time. So what I do is I come down and make an answer box down at the very bottom or off to the side, depending on what my worksheet looks like. I bring that greatest common factor and I write it down. Then I just factor this. I go back to my x. I take a times c. I put in b. But by putting the 5 down there, I've taken care of it. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to bring it along with everything, and that gets really confusing. So I just make an answer box and put it down here. So I'm going to do the factors of 12. My signs are the same because this is positive. My signs are the same. They're the same as b. So everything's going to be negative. Which pair, when added, gives me 8, negative 8. There we go. Okay. And if you want to at any time pause it and factor it on your own, that's even better. So now we're going to write it out in 4 terms. X squared minus 2x minus 6x plus 12. Factor by grouping. Third term is negative. So we're going to take out a negative 6. We're going to get x minus 2. So we get x minus 2, x minus 6. Now what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to bring that 5 along every single time. So what we're supposed to do is put a 5 out in front and then put a 5 out in front. Do you see how that could be a real pain? So that's the reason I just take the greatest common factor right in my answer box. And then I bring down everything else. But you've got to remember to put it in an answer box or you're going to forget it. Well, you might not. You might remember better than I do. Okay, so that's how it is. Okay, let's look at number 2. Is it in standard form? Yes, it is, but it's in 2 terms, so we're not as picky. Okay, so the first thought is 2 terms. Are they both perfect squares? Nope. Is there a greatest common factor, though? Yes. We can take a 4 out of both of them. I can take a 4 out here, and I get 2x squared minus 18. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Look at that. I could have taken out a bigger number. Can't I? Because let's see how they both have a 2. So hold on. What's my greatest common factor going to actually be? Nope, I just messed up. If I take 36 divided by 4, I get a 9. Okay, so now let's look at it. Put in the answer box, put that 4 down in there. Okay, let's look back up here. I have 2 terms. Are they both perfect squares? This one is, but this one's not. I can't factor by 2 terms. And if they're not perfect squares, okay, it's not going to work even if I do the x. If there's 2 terms, they both have to be perfect squares. So that is my answer. I can't go any further on that. That is my answer. Okay, number 3. We're going to skip number 4 because it's a lot like number 3, so we're just skipping it, so don't worry about it. Okay, let's take out the greatest common factor. Oh, is it in standard form? Yes. Greatest common factor. Hey, at first I was thinking 4, but look at that. Does 12 go into all of them? So let me just show you. Don't write what I'm writing down. But at first thought, I was thinking 6. So then I had 4x squared minus 2x. Don't write this down. Minus 6. But look right here. See how those all can be divided by a 2? So I could have originally taken a 12 out first. So what you want to do is, after you take out a greatest common factor, look again. Is there any greatest common factor left? Okay, so let's go back and now do that one, taking out a 12. I can't find my eraser. Okay, so now let's write down what I'm writing down. Greatest common factor is actually 12. But I just wanted to show you, sometimes you're going to do it and it's not the greatest common factor. Check again. Just check what's in the parentheses. Divide them all by a 12. I get 2x squared minus x minus 3. Okay, I'm going to make an answer box down at the bottom. Put that 12 in so I don't forget it. I'm not trying to treat you like you're 2. This is what I have to do. Okay, and I'm now 56, and I still have to do this. Okay, so here we go. Make an x. I have negative 6 and negative 1. Right? 2 times negative 3, and b is negative 1. So negative 6, the factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Since this is negative, my signs are different. My larger factor has to be negative. Which pair do I want to use? 2 and negative 3. Okay? And again, in positive values, you want to practice with factoring because you never can have enough practice factoring. Okay? Greatest common factor is 2x. Third term is negative. Greatest common factor is 3. Now, I will tell you one of my lazy things that I do. If these come out to be the same terms, right, the same factors right here, I go right to my answer box. That is one lazy thing that I do instead of writing it out twice. I'm okay with you doing that too. From this step to this step, there's not going to be much change. Okay, good. Let's look at the homework. Now, the only problem with this homework is there is not enough room to do it on. It's really kind of frustrating. So, that's the reason. Check with your teacher as to what your assignments are. You might be able to fit it on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change it a little. I'm just going to put a sticky note underneath mine, and then I can factor right underneath it, so I can still see my work. So that's what I'm going to do for notes. Okay, so looking at this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it so I don't have a b, because we know my b's will look like 6's. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite it to be 15x squared plus 57x minus 90. You know, I was looking at this and I was like, oh my gosh, greatest common factor. So I want to help you, because the first time I did this, I didn't notice there was a greatest common factor. And baby, think about it. I had to take 15 times 90. Huge number. Yuck, you don't want to do that. So look at 15 and 90. That will give you a clue. What goes into both of those? 3 and 5. Well, 5 obviously does not go into 57. Okay? So let's see if 3 does. Remember the divisibility test for 3? Add the 2 digits together. 5 plus 7 is 12. So is 12 divisible by 3? Yeah. So my greatest common factor is 3. I can actually do that. I don't know how many times 3 goes in. That's what my calculator is going to do for me. So I get 5x squared. 57 divided by 3 gives me 19x minus 30. Now those numbers are a little better. Okay, let's go down to the bottom. Put our our key in our answer box. So now we don't have to worry about that 3. So we're going to look at 5 times 30. That's negative 150. Wow, that's already a big enough number. And that goes at the top of my x. Negative 150. 19 at the bottom. Didn't we do this one? I think we did. We did one something like this anyway, or maybe it's just me. I've done this problem too many times. Okay, so the factors of 150 that subtract to 19. I don't know if we did do this. Okay, subtract to 19. So what do we want to try? We know 10 and 15 go in. Okay, so the reason I'm starting that, I know that doesn't work, but it just gives me a starting point. And I realize that my signs have to be different. The larger factor has to be positive. So that gives me 5. I have to have a difference of 15. So let's go down and try 5. How many times does 5 go in? Gives me 30. Oh, well, duh, I just did that. Okay, so that's negative 25. That's too far apart. So someplace between 5 and 10. Not enough room, so I'm just going to go down here. 150 divided by 6. 6 goes in 25 times. 25 minus 6 is 19. Bam, there it is. Okay, so negative 6 and 25. Write in expanded form. Factor out the greatest common factor. Okay, and this is again where I get lazy. See how what's in the parentheses is the same thing? So I'm just going to write down to my answer. Yes? Okay, good. Now, if you were in the classroom right now, I'd love it if you could choose one for me. You are not. So I'm going to look down here with these 4 terms, because we haven't factored 4 terms, just as 4 terms. So you might be going, wait, what do I do with this? Okay, so I'm going to look at number 32, just because I'm going to look at another one. Okay. So, here we go. Is there a greatest common factor? Well, look at 49 and 14. That's going to be my clue. I always look for clues. 7 goes into both of those. Let's see if 7 goes into these. So this is where we take our calculator. If I take 112 divided by 7, I get a whole number. So 7 goes into that one. 392 divided by 7. Yes. So notice what I did. I had enough number sense to look at these two and say, hey, those are both divisible by 7. I had no clue what these factors were. So I used that information to try out this. 7 does go into all of them. So I'm going to take a 7 out of all of them first. 392 divided by 7, we found out it was 56m cubed. Minus 112. That's the reason I love these calculators. The work still shows. 112 divided by 7 was 16. Take out a 7 here. Take out a 7 there. So again, I'm still going to go down here and make my answer box. Put a 7 in it. Okay, I'm making my answer box down at the bottom. I'm putting a 7 in it. Now I'm just going to factor this. So this is just factor by grouping. This is what you do when you have 4 terms. You use this for that also. You might have forgotten that. So now, my greatest common factor of 56 and 16. 56 is divisible by 16? No, it is not. 8 goes into both of them. I'm going to start with that. 8m. I'm going to divide them both by an 8m. I get 7m squared. Oh, wait, hold on. My lowest exponent was a 2. So I want to take out an 8m squared. So 7m minus 2. Okay, oh, third term is negative, so we're going to have to factor out a negative. Oh, but there is nothing they have in common. So I take out a negative 1, which switches my sign. And look, yay, what's in the parentheses is the same. So I can go from here, right down to here. 7m minus 2, 8m squared minus 1. Now, before we stop, I do want you to notice this. This one can't be factored any further. Let's look at this one. If I ever have a minus sign with a square term, I have to check to make sure. So if these are both perfect squares, I can factor it further. 1 is a perfect square. Is 8 a perfect square? Nope. It's divisible by 4, which is a perfect square, but 8 itself is not. If that would have been a 9, we would have had to factor this further. Okay? This one is not factorable any further. Okay? So we'll come across some of those at some point. We'll practice some. I'll find some for you. Great. Okay. So that's factoring completely. First step for factoring completely. Okay? Well, first step is make sure it's in standard form. That's usually going to happen. So always check for a greatest common factor. From now on, again, I love to sing to you, but we know my singing voice. Greatest common factor. See if there is a greatest common factor. Okay? Good. Thanks. If you have questions, so check with your teacher what the assignment's going to be. I'm guessing it's probably posted out on Schoology, but if not, check with your teacher. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. Thank you.